Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Whenever you're watching this team replay, I appreciate everyone so much. I'm going to do a few recordings because as those of you who frequent my channel, I appreciate my subscribers that do. I am able to take a cruise with my family, so I will be out of the YouTube streets for a little bit. I'll be poking my head in and out. So I am so thankful to everyone that stops in. And let me cut my camera off because I don't want my internet to start doing something crazy. Let's see. I appreciate every single one of you, but this is, as you can see, the beautiful Guerdy Design on Instagram. She is heavily featured in episode 2. So we have season 7, episode 2, Miami Takes Milan. And there are very long scenes of Larsa Pippen and Lisa Hochstein and Preston. Honorable mention of Preston, who is Larsa Pippen and Scottie Pippen's 22-year-old son. I got a kick out of him this episode. He's the typical, I won't say the typical, but he's a very laid back, cool 22-year-old. And I really appreciate the way he handled himself. He didn't insert himself into what was going on between Lisa and Larsa, and actually tried to calm his mother down quite a few times. Larsa, as we know, is a lot extra, and I hope it's just a persona. But if that's really her, that's all I'll say about that right now. But we start out the scene of Lisa, Adriana, and Guerdy. They're meeting for brunch. Miami, they step out in their dresses, and they look so pretty, and they all compliment each other. Guerdy has on a green print, Lisa has on white, and Adriana has on blue. So they're talking about that. Lisa is excited because Lisa has been invited to walk in Milan Fashion Week. So she wants to know that she has to see Larsa there, and Larsa has been terrible to her. So they actually recount the party, Jody's birthday party, where Larsa called Lisa out of her name, the B word, multiple times. And Adriana just says, "You don't insult the host." Adriana, I don't know how she could see what was going on. Her and the French boyfriend were wrapped up in each other on the couch, but Larsa was so loud and over the top, thrown out multiple times, I'll remind you, and left to go to the bathroom and still came back cussing Lisa out. So Lisa is still upset about that. And then Lisa says that, well, Larsa would never make it about her in Italy. And Guerdy is funny. She says, wouldn't she? I agree with Guerdy. That's a beautiful Guerdy that we see, because as you'll see in the episode, Guerdy has a scene with Russ that kind of pulled at my heartstrings. This is my favorite couple across franchises. I think Guerdy and Russ and Happy Eddie and Dr. Wendy of Potomac. I would just have to say that. Okay, so Larsa and Preston are going to be walking for Philip Plain, who is a designer. They're running late for their flight. Preston is laid back. He's cool. And Larsa's like, do you know that if we don't make this flight, this is the only flight Miami-Milan today, you're going to miss everything. He's just chill. I'll say this. Preston has a Scottie Pippen face, but 2.0. Okay, so he's a good mix of Larsa and Scottie Pippen. That's all I'll say about that. So Larsa asked if he knew that Lisa was walking. He said, yes, it's a work trip, so he don't want to talk about her. So shout out to Scotty Jr. I appreciate that. I love when Preston, he just shut Larsa down. Larsa thought she's going to be able to get on there and gossip with this young man about the other cast. Like I'm hearing Meredith Brooks does with Brooks over in Salt Lake City. So I'm glad that Preston's not for that. So we see Alexia and Julia in a workout class. It's a kind of throwaway scene. Why does Julia always look like she smells, y'all? Julia rubbed me the wrong way the first episode, and I don't think her and Martina are going to be able to turn that around. Enough about them. So confessional Alexia is still going on with both of them were talking terrible to each other. I am not taking sides. She's trying to actually both sides something where Larsa was dead wrong. So in my opinion, to say both sides is choosing Larsa's side, because Larsa is the side that's dead wrong. Lisa never called Larsa out of her name. She didn't jump up. Larsa was the one invited to Jody's party and in there screaming and hollering and cussing about her former boyfriend, Marcus Jordan, still being friends with Jody, and trying to compare what if people were friends with Lenny. Lenny, who is Lisa's husband of over a decade, and they have 2 small children together. Lenny and Marcus Jordan are not the same, but Larsa she tries to say Lisa is in Lisa land and all this stuff. Larsa is in her own head, and we'll see more of her, unfortunately, throughout the season, because she's drama, but it's fake drama, and I don't like it. So we get back to us. Julie is running down her fake beef, in my opinion, with Guerdy, because we saw that Julia and Martina were terrible to our sweet Guerdy in episode 1 at the party. I don't know why they did that. They didn't have to do that, and they're saying it's over this drop Zoom call. So Guerdy was filling in. Another reason is Guerdy was filling in for Martina at some type of cruise trip. Sound like a day trip, one of those Miami things that they have. Martina could not go due to a health concern. When they get there, now Guerdy's filling in for Martina. Guerdy is not on the list. So she starts talking to Julia about it. And then afterward, Julia is telling Alexia that she tried to make it about her. We see Julia lying in a confessional, reading a text that Guerdy is texting her that, I'm not on the list. I wasn't on the list. This was awkward. Something about that. None of it makes sense, because I think it's contrived and it's made up, because we know they've adopted 2 toddlers, 2 little brothers, a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. Congratulations to them. But Julia, you have said you're not going to use them as a storyline. Respect to that. You want them to maintain their privacy. I respect that. But you can go ahead and usher yourself and your goats in that stink ranch on out of here. You and Martina with her sour face as well. And Martina Navratilova, you should be ashamed of yourself, trying to use Guerdy as a storyline. So Julia asked Alexia how she's doing. Alexia's still crying about Todd. He's going to show his true colors. This is what he wants. Blah, 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 blah. Alexia, people are saying that you and Todd might be a fake storyline. And if that's the case, I hope you pivot and go to something else, because this is ridiculous. So Larsa and Lisa arrive at the Miami airport. They don't speak to each other on the flight. We see confessional Lisa saying it's going to be about moi, which is French for me, Lisa. Lisa's so cute. Lisa makes me laugh. And a lot of people criticize Lisa, and they say she's self-absorbed, and she is, but I'll allow it, because Lisa doesn't really hurt anyone. And I'm glad she's standing up to Larsa. They get to the Milan airport, everybody, and there is a driver holding up a sign for the Pippen Hochstein car. Now, this is going to put the 2 of these ladies in the same car. Luckily, they have Preston in there as a buffer, and Jody is Lisa's right-hand man, of course. Jody, you can't convince me that you don't love these cameras, okay? I don't care what Jody's talking about. Jody loved being on screen. So Larsa is mad. Says she would take a camel rather than ride with her. Larsa, you big money. Why don't you go ahead and get your own car service then? But, that's Larsa. They say, hey, when they get in the car. So I thought that was funny. It was real dry. Hey, I didn't know we were driving together. Lisa's acting like she was going to ignore Larsa, but Lisa is the personality type. She doesn't like to ignore people, and she doesn't like to be ignored. So she starts making this little small talk. Her and Jody are laughing. Jody says, this is awkward. So they all laugh a little bit. Preston sat up front and put his shades on and his hoodie. I'm with Preston. So Lisa asked Preston if he's walked before. She's making small talk. He's saying that's his first time. She asked him if he practices. And he says, yeah, he practiced. Larsa claims she hadn't seen Preston practice at all. So Larsa is a stage mom, and she jokes about it, which is okay. I expect that from her. He's very young. They're in a foreign country. So I thought that was cute. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to pause for a minute. One moment. Okay, I am back. I don't think that the pause really, hopefully it's seamless, except for me talking about it. Thank you, everybody. Click the like button, and if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. So they go from small talk to Larsa saying she's raised 4 superstar kids. Now, it still is under her skin while they were going back and forth, Larsa didn't have any real reads at the party. It was just consisting of name calling of Lisa, calling her the B word, telling her she sucked D all night. Why couldn't she influence that person? Really nasty, disgusting stuff. Lisa had a couple of reads that got at Larsa where she lived. One of them was, we know who you are. We know what you are. So now she's saying she's raised 4 superstar kids, because Lisa's alluding to something that Larsa is. Put it on out there. Say what the lady is. We know about the OnlyFans, but I'm not against that. If you can get money showing your feet, show your feet. So they start to argue about Marcus Jordan being friends with Jody, this and that. Jody is saying that he's not going to just ditch one of his friends because the friend is no longer in a relationship with another friend. Larson's claiming that she introduced them to Marcus, this and that, which even if she did, if Jody still keeps the man as a friend, I don't really see why Larson's so upset about that. And then we get a flashback to these incoherent texts that Marcus sent. Now, with these incoherent texts, y'all hearing them again, they don't make a lot of sense. Larson interpreted them as threats. Now, what we saw Jody go through at the end, as far as pulling his friends out for some wink, wink AC in a back room, and then also being overheard saying, is that good? That's good, right? And then coming out, issuing a statement, scolding everybody because people thought that AC was code for something else. Between that, Marcus's arrest in the news with people saying, I'm not saying the banner's running, but people were saying there were white powder around Marcus Jordan's nose. They might be friends, okay? They might be friends that like to share AC together. So they're not going to give each other up. Lisa says her dad's in ICU. Jody pipes up, he might have a week to live. And Larsa, being Larsa, said, well, what are you doing here then? You shouldn't have come if your dad's got a week to live. Lisa, you need to curse Larsa's BBL out. Lisa's too sweet, y'all. Lisa is too sweet. So then we go to another scene. We're back in Miami. Guerdy, my sweet Guerdy, which you will see on my screen. Guerdy takes us to her breast reconstruction consultation. Russ, as always, is there. She's telling the viewer about it. They have her like kind of marked up. Her breasts are marked up, showing what she's going to do. She's telling us that she went from a double D, I think she said a double D, to a B cup. So Guerdy's always been tiny, but she's shapely and curvy. So they're just reshaping them for her. The doctor says, doctor says usually 3 surgeries are needed. Russ does not want any more surgery, y'all. He's very supportive of whatever Guerdy wants to do. But as far as the aesthetics and appearance, any of that, he just wants Guerdy healthy. He said he don't want her to have to suffer. He's fine. He doesn't want any more surgeries. But Guerdy says it's up to her how she feels. And if she feels great about herself, it's going to be good for Russ. It's going to be good for the family, for her peace of mind, her everything. Because Guerdy's a mother. She's a wife. She's a business owner. Her business is Guerdy Design. So she's very out in the public. And if that's something that makes her feel good, she wants to do it. So Guerdy's saying maybe 1 more surgery to Russ. Now, confessional Guerdy gets up there and says 1 to 2 more. Okay, Guerdy, we see you. But again, I support Guerdy, whatever she does. Russ pulls Guerdy in for a really close hug. If I can show that quickly before we leave, I will, okay? He pulls her in for a really close hug. Julie, you are a smelly dummy. This just got on my mind, y'all. Go diaper that goat and leave our sweet Guerdy alone. We're not going to have this, Julia. That's not a storyline, okay? So then we see Marisol and Alexia are together. Marisol is telling us that Alexia is better without Todd because she thinks Alexia mistreats her when she's with Todd. And then production shows us various scenes of Alexia going off about different things. Then they switch back to Milan. Larsa and Preston are in their room. Larsa wastes no time. She asking Preston what he thought of the conversation. He's like, he don't really care. She criticized Lisa about, what do you think? And her dad's dying in a week. Preston said, don't be confrontational. That's their business. So I agree with Preston. Preston's trying to just tamp things down. He don't want to hear it. We go to Jody and Lisa in their room. Lisa has to call her brother about the dad. Last week, the dad was on something they took him off of and had to put him back on. I'm sorry, I can't remember what it was, a breathing machine or something. And then Lisa's telling Jody that Larsa's being a terrible friend. Lisa, Guerdy had breast cancer last year. She's still fighting through her reconstructive this year. And Larsa made it all about her. Larsa was terrible. Larsa called Dr. Nicole and was trying to find dirt on Guerdy and find out whether or not the type cancer Guerdy has is really sick. Larsa was terrible. So Lisa, she's not going to be a good friend to you. She does not have good friend in her. And someone told me, I mentioned that she's looking more like the Kardashians, that she is best friends with them. Somebody in the chat last week said, no, they're not friends anymore. Larsa's falling out with all of her friends that she had. Not that I'm going to hold the Kardashians up as that they're good friends, because I see how they move, how they did Jordan Woods. But Larsa falls out with everybody if they don't cater to her and kiss her BBL. So the designer comes. He tells Preston how he wants him to walk. He needs to show these angry eyes. He's doing like a stereotypical thing of how Preston should be. I also thought that he was being overly critical of Preston as far as how he was dressed and his demeanor, everything. I know he was given constructive criticism, but this is it. This is the first time he's walking. He's 22. You want him for his notoriety because I'm sorry, the modeling thing, I don't know where that came from. Again, he's 22, but he's Scottie Pippen and Larsa Pippen's son, and he has a platform with Real Housewives of Miami. And get real, that's why the designer invited him. That and he's Larsa's friends. So Larsa is going to sit in the front row with a friend of hers. She's telling us some kind of silly story about paying a janitor to let her in so Preston would do his homework. And then she's joking with the designer about she wants to push Lisa down the stairs. So that just got on my nerves. Flashback to Miami. We have Alexia in a white dress. Marisol is in black leather jacket and black leather pants. Y'all, she looked like Sandy, which was funny to me because I said, why is she dressed like Sandy from Grease? Marisol just makes me laugh. She's always immaculate. But what was funny, Alexia says, hey, Sandy. So that made me laugh because that was the exact thing I thought. Maybe that's the look she was going for, but she pulled it off. So Alexia had invited Julia and Kiki to an event with a friend, Johnny, that they hadn't seen. He moved abroad. So they haven't seen him in a while. They're having dinner. Alexia points out she only wants positive vibes there, this and that. So she didn't invite Guerdy and Adriana. So now they're really distancing Adriana from the group. So during dinner, Alexia started, I thought it was strange. She started asking about people being circumcised in Milan, that kind of thing. That got on my nerve. Confessional Marisol tells us she want to be reincarnated with a male appendage, y'all. She'd love to come back as that. She's male identified, and so is Alexia. So I'm not shocked that they have penis envy. So Alexia at the dinner table with the fun people with the positive vibes starts talking about Todd and her divorce. She's saying that he didn't like how he was viewed on the show. Alexia claimed that she would step down for the show with her for her family. And Todd is upset. Todd, to me, is upset that he couldn't create the narrative. They had this apartment where the elevator went to their floor directly into the apartment. One of those. They were showcasing money. But during the course of that, Alexia ends up saying with the fake apartment and a fake car and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, Alexia, I don't know if she was drinking too much or what, but she started kind of airing Todd out. And I heard they were still going together. So that's kind of crazy. Kiki pipes up. She's telling Alexia, you're the strongest person I know. And Alexia's crying. I'm weak over Todd. I'm weak over Todd. So Marisol just interrupted. You had an arc. Everybody has one at some point. So Alexia is saying, I guess it's some kind of flex. I'm not going to divorce him. He's got to decide. He's mistreating her. He moved out in the middle of the night, left Frankie there, moved with his daughter, didn't tell her where he was going, but she doesn't want to divorce him. She wants him to file. She's saying he's a coward because of the way he left, this and that. Julia's telling us that she wants to like him, but the way he did Frankie. So now Alexia has switched again. F him. She's mad. She's crying. This is a miserable dinner, y'all. I'm glad my sweet Guerdy didn't have to go and be subjected to it. So confessional, Marisol saying Alexia is beautiful. Todd pooped on her life, so don't go back there. Thank goodness we go back to Milan. So Lisa shows up to the event, and Lisa comes backstage. She sees Preston sitting there. She says, your mother's not backstage. I'm Mama Bear. She's standing over him with her little self. She's offering him food. Are you okay? This and that. Jody goes out to the front. Larsa is seated with one of the friends. He's like, Jody, sit with us. So Larsa rolled her eyes. She's making slick comments. Preston is number 2, y'all, in the event. So he's opening the show, which the friend points out. Like, he's number 2. He's kind of an opener. And then Jody says, well, Lisa's number 50. So Larsa's laughing about that. Lisa's number 50. At least she's walking. Larsa lied about, he asked me to walk, but I didn't really want to walk. Larsa, you runway. And Larsa, no, I don't see it. Okay, I don't see it. So Larsa continues to make slick comments. I think Lisa was closing the show. So Lisa keeps lifting herself up, saying, I'm 40, I'm out here with the 20 years olds. And she really looked pretty, y'all. She had on some kind of leather thing. Now, when Lisa was walking down, I didn't like this. Larsa takes a very loud selfie with flash. Let's take a selfie, and turns the camera with the flash toward herself and her friend while Lisa's walking. And Lisa noticed, because confessional Lisa said, Larsa tried to interrupt my moment, but I did great. I was great, this and that. Another thing I forgot to mention, when Larsa and the designer and Preston had met, Larsa was saying, and Lisa is a faller. I don't think, and then production flashed back to Lisa falling at an event because she had on these high heels on and probably with some drinking involved. I'm not sure. And she took a tumble. But I didn't hear Lisa speak negatively of Larsa or Preston to the designer. And I think that was really tacky and on brand for Larsa to speak negatively of Lisa to the designer, because Lisa didn't do that to Larsa. She's a better friend to Larsa than Larsa is to her. So Lisa said, they sit down afterward, they're talking. Lisa said that Larsa's tone is terrible. She talks down to people and that she no longer allows that. And then production flashback to Lenny talking crazy to Lisa throughout. We know how terrible Lenny was. He was on an open mic saying all kind of stuff because he had another girlfriend at the time. Then he started calling the woman his fiance, right? And he's still married to Lisa. And then tried to kick her and her 2 toddlers out. Go back to last season if y'all don't remember that. That's season 6. Lisa had a tough season 6. So we get confessional Larsa saying that Fabulous decided on her he's on her side as far as the Lisa Larsa situation with the boyfriend. Now, Fabulous is, yes, that Fabulous, the rapper. Everybody knows he enjoys fashion. He's into fashion. And the fashion industry has always had an obsession with rappers. So I'm not shocked to see Milan Fashion Week have some type representative there, which it was Fabulous. He's dressed up. He's in a tux or something, but I thought it was funny how messy he was. He of course, Larsa hugs him. Oh, Fab, this and that. Lisa comes up, introduces herself, and then Larsa said, I want to give you a situation. In the scenario, of course, she had to bring up Marcus Jordan, bring up the fact that she introduced Lisa's boyfriend, Jody, to him, and that even though they have a messy breakup and Marcus is sending her threatening texts, Jody is still friends with him. What does Fab think? Fab's like, you can't be friends with the ex. And then Lisa's going, no, I'm not his friend. They meet, they go out, but I don't talk to him. And Fab's like, okay, you can't control him. Fab was kind of both sides. He didn't come down on one side or the other. But again, he's not their friend like Alexia. So now there's ominous music. We hear Lisa saying that Jody is missing. The cameras have shut down for the night. We find out that there was tension between Lisa, Larsa, and Jody. We get a preview that shows Larsa recounting to the ladies Jody was yelling. He didn't want them to talk to each other. Even though earlier in the day, we saw him being kind of a calming presence along with Preston, trying to thaw the ice a little bit. But this is Larsa telling the ladies in the preview, she's saying that he was yelling. Then they asked, how big were his eyeballs? So, you know, that AC, the AC thing from last week, that's coming up again, y'all. Larsa says, I'll show you what the eyeballs look like. Y'all, why did Larsa have a picture of Jody and production put it on the screen? Jody was bugged out. His eyes look like 2 sources, y'all. So I don't know if it's from the AC or what. I don't know. But anyway, this was a pretty good episode. As you can see, I cannot read any comments because this is a recording, okay? I'm going to try to be in the chat. We can talk a little bit in the chat. But I appreciate everyone joining me for the Real Housewives of Miami, Season 7, Episode 2, Miami Takes Milan. And I'll try to go live sometime this week in order to talk to you. I'll show you a little bit of the ship. It's the Carnival Pride. I may show you some of, when we get to Baltimore, if there's anything notable that I want to share, I'll do that as well. So I thank everybody for joining Sandra P's Gen Extra. And I hope you have a great, wonderful week. I'll see you in the YouTube streets, but not as much. Thank you so much, everybody. Goodbye.